Now, you can see below that I've called it the parable of the half-dead naked lawyer. And I'm going to explain why I've called it that, because that's what I think it should be called. But most people call it the parable of the Good Samaritan. I'm sure that's what you expected it to be called, the parable of the Good Samaritan. And, that phrase, Good Samaritan, you can look up a dictionary. You can get a dictionary and look it up. If you're under 35, Google, and that phrase, Good Samaritan, will be in the dictionary. Someone who helps a stranger or something like that, if you ask anyone on the street, religious, not religious, name a parable Jesus told, they're not going to talk about the parable of the sower. They're not going to talk about the wheats and the tares. They're not going to talk about the virgins with no oil. They're either going to name Good Samaritan or very, very, very close second, prodigal son. Okay, they're the two parables that people name. Okay, if you get a children's Bible and it's only got some stories in it, just a few stories, I guarantee it'll have one parable. It'll have the parable of the Good Samaritan. If you teach RE at school, you go to school in RE, you're going to have the Good Samaritan. If you go on the YouVersion Bible app, and this is the only section of the Bible, the Good Samaritan, that every single year that YouVersion has operated for decades, it has been on the top 5 most shared passages of the Bible. There's a little button you can share parts of the Bible. This has always been in the top 5 of the most shared parts of the Bible. It's the only passage in the Bible that's been on that. When countries pass a law that you should help other people, and you can be found guilty in a court of law for not helping when it's reasonable and safe to do so, they call it what? A Good Samaritan law. Florence Nightingale says this is the parable that inspired her to become a nurse in the Crimean War. This is a bizarre fact, it's the most quoted passage of scripture in speeches by American presidents. And it's the most quoted scripture by Abraham Lincoln. So there's something there. The largest Christian aid organization in the world right now is called Samaritan's Purse. It's giving money so we can be good Samaritans. In the UK, nearer to home, the largest suicide prevention charity is called the Samaritans, again, founded by an Anglican vicar. In terms of art, outside of the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, it's the most drawn scene of the Bible in art. It's the single most used phrase from the Bible, even though the phrase Good Samaritan is not in the Bible. It doesn't actually use the word good in the whole parable. We'll see it when we read it. But Good Samaritan is the most used phrase from the Bible, even though it's not really from the Bible, in British journalism. But here's the crux, and this is really important tonight.